So we sorted out those gremlins with the electrics. Now let's see if we can get the engine to start. Bit premature, Richard. You need to sort those carbs out too. Enjoy! Get in, usual message, check you're subscribed. If you're not, why not? Heaven's sake. Fancy contacting me, Church House Classics, it's all one word, @gmail.com. And if you fancy buying me a pint, or just plain supporting the channel, there's a PayPal me link scrolling down here. Please enjoy, like, subscribe, comment, like comments, everything. All helps the algorithm. Anyway, enjoy. I'm wondering if I put this on here so I get voltage. I bring this here so I can see what's going on, and then we click on the starter. Yeah, I think we've got a problem with one of the circuits in here. If I put 12 volts to the back of the starter solenoid, and we'll see if it works then. Not a lot though, was it? So effectively what we're doing, what we're finding out here is when I engage the starter motor, we go down to 2 volts, which would suggest again we've got a dodgy circuit. So I need to sort the circuit out. Hardly really surprising with a couple of fucking old jump leads on a battery that's been kicking around. Sorry, brain's not working at all. On connectors that have been kicking around doing nothing for God knows how long. So I think what we'll do is we're going to do it with the power probe tomorrow. See if we can't get the engine to crank. If we can get the engine to crank, then we have to work our way backwards from that. Starter's out of the car primarily because I could not get it to function. And it's only 2 bolts. It's not exactly inaccessible. It took me a good 10 minutes to get this out. Right, now it's out of the car. With a little bit of encouragement, because it is a gold seal unit here, I managed to get it to work. So it's working. So I'm going to pop it back in. It may have been stuck, I don't know. It could just well have been the action of removing it has enabled the armature to turn. It doesn't smell nasty like it's burning out. It is a gold seal unit. Do you remember those? Used to get gold seal units from Unipart and such like. But yes, so now I'm going to pop that back on again and see if we can't get this engine to crank over. Which would be nice, won't it? I'm going to clean all these contacts up, just spray a bit of contact cleaner around and about. That's stuck on there now. Come on, you bastard. Right, it's off. Okay, so yes, I think. Other interesting observations. Chris, what the fuck did you do to your steering wheel? I think we might need to get a new steering wheel for you there, chap. Nothing else particularly nasty around here. I'll just pop the plugs back in, obviously, because I didn't want to leave it overnight with it all kind of out. As far as, because you can see I've got the front wheels off. As far as the hubs are concerned and the brakes are concerned, well, discs look serviceable, don't they? There's some cracking and crazing around the bushing. I don't know. I think what we'll probably end up doing is, once I've got it running, we'll lob it in for an MOT and see what happens. Fairly meaty brake pads on there as well, but when it comes to the brakes, I think pretty much safety first, and we'll end up overhauling the whole damn lot, I reckon. Yeah, no real need to take the discs off though, because they are fine. It all sort of moves fairly happily. I'll lube everything up and see where we get to. Starter motor back in, reconnected, put me positive terminal back onto the battery terminal underneath the rear of the car, connected up my battery down here. It's not ideal, folks, because I am using jump leads, but let's see what happens. So, ignition. Yeah, we've got ignition. Oh! Doesn't sound like it's cranking the engine, does it? I've got a lot of oil pressure, chap. But it's definitely cranking the engine, though. Right. I don't want to go too far with this, but obviously it's not going to start. There we go, oil pressure. Well, that's encouraging, isn't it? I don't want to leave that running too long, purely because starter motor, well, that's part of the reason why I'm taking the plugs out, is because the starter motor really then is out of the way. Now, you MGB aficionados, you're going to tell me why there's two timing marks here. So we're on a later, let's take that off for a minute. We're on a later timing mark setting up here. We can see one set of timing marks on the crank here, and I go round and there's another set there. What's that all about then? As far as I can see, it is not that one. Just going round. Right, that should be top dead centre. As I understand, that's 10 degrees. Sorry, that's top dead centre, and then it's before top dead centre. Sniffy, 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 sniffy. That then corresponds with this, because that points to the number one plug position. Why is there two timing marks? Anyway, good news that we've got oil pressure. So next I'm going to start pulling the carbs apart, I think. See if we can't get the carbs to function. The problem I've got with the carbs at the moment, if I've got my screwdriver, is that the dashpot pistons are both stuck down. So we're going to have to take the dashpots off, see where we go with that. And while I'm there, I might start pulling fuel line and so forth off. But we have got oil pressure and the engine cranks. Right, it's coming apart. That was the remnants of the fuel that came out of the filter. I think any half decent vet would order immediate rest for that horse. That's a revolting sample. Right, okay, so I'm going through, really just undoing, getting everything off this. One of the problems I've got is that the throttle butterflies are jammed solid. So I'm not going to force them. I'm going to find out what the problem is and see if we can't encourage them to start moving. It's never going to help, and also, as you've seen already, the pistons inside the dashpots are seized in solid. We'll see where we are with it. I'm pleased I got oil pressure though. Every cloud. There's nothing that complicated about pulling these apart. Let's just see if we can get you over here so you're not actually going to be completely in the way. You can stand there. There's nothing particularly nasty about getting these off. It's all fairly spaced bannering. Gibbon. There's a lot of ports along the top of this inlet manifold, vacuum ports. I wonder what they're all for. Not that familiar with the B series engine, so I couldn't tell you for sure. We have got a wedge of springs though, so there's one here which is on the choke. It looks like then we've got 3 on the throttle. Spring. Is that going to come off there? I was thinking about it. Yeah, that's off. That one is coming off. This is riveting footage, isn't it, chap? And then we've got this one here. That one's fallen off. And this one. That one's off. Right, so that's all of the return springs out of the way. Now, underneath here we should have another nut. Try and do this without lacerating myself, tearing any more parts of my body off. Now I've got a feeling these interconnecting rods, I think they just slot into the ends of the carburetor, but we're going to find out really quickly. Right, there's one. Let's take the top nut off. This top nut comes with a P-clip for the fuel line. Bottom one, I think, just is on its own. It looks like the carburetors probably need to come off as a set, and then once they're off, they'll probably separate from these rods. Like I say, I'm not going to force anything. See if there's a mouse nest in here then. Right, and okay, that's off. Curry containers for the parts, courtesy of James. Thank you, James. That fuel stinks. It really is horrible. Right, let me get a tray. Or our storehouse tray. See if we can't lift these straight off and onto the tray. Oh, we've got a throttle linkage here to undo as well. How's that held on there? Looks like a clip. It's down here. There it goes. So just take the throttle linkage off in its entirety. Come on, you bastard. It wants to come off. It'd probably help if I wasn't using a pair of cutters. But never mind. That is then off. Right, there's something that fell off. So I was right. That's the choke mechanism. And then we've got here the throttle mechanism, which is probably going to do exactly the same thing. Washer fell on the floor. That's caught on something that's caught in the gasket. Come on. Right, there we are. One carb off. Other carb off. And there is the throttle linkage. Right, that's that off. I'll go and retrieve that. There's some pretty heavy duty gaskets, really waxy. Right, clear a bit of space. Throttle butterfly jammed solid. I really would expect that to turn. It's not going to help if it doesn't turn, is it? Choke. Jet seized up solid. That's the jet. So we're going to need throttle. Probably going to need a rebuild kit for these. Let's see if we can't get the dashpot off. Oh, another box. So what's this? This is the right carb, or forwards. Carb. Right/forwards. Right, let's have a look-see. Disconnect the jet first of all. And the float chamber can come off intact with the jets. That comes off. Jets. Did move. 7/16 spanner on here. We can then undo this bolt, which should secure the float chamber to the carburetor body, and then the float chamber can come off intact and complete check you can fucking see what's going on. This will end up being 1,000 hours of unusable footage, you know this. I'm only going to do one of these carburetors for the film, the other one can wait. It's just, sometimes it's useful to explore, as I am exploring. Right, so one float chamber. Look, no, these are designed to rotate slightly. So the fuel goes in and out. We'll look at the float chamber in a minute. Let's see if we can get the dashboard top off. We've got the throttle to move, yeah. Oh! Clean my fucking hands of it. Ah! This one is not going to go, is it? This was not going to play nicely. Oh, there we go. Right, piston's out. Good news is, now it's out, it does appear to move, so it probably just needs a bit of carb cleaning before it goes back together again. You have to leave that for a while. See see what happens to that. That wants to move though, really. Leave that to soak. Right, lube's been in there a while. See if we can't get... Oh, it's moving already, look. It's moved. There we go. I might be inclined... Oh, it's not looking too bad actually, but it's loosening up all the time. That's encouraging. Right, let's give it a clean off. Because then, once it's cleaned off, it can wait for a rebuild kit. So one carb I've managed to get freed up, which I probably couldn't have done had I not taken it off. I need to find out what's going on with the jet as well. I'm not going to bother adjusting these in any way whatsoever. If I can get away with it, I will leave them exactly as they are, because it's a reliable baseline. The float chamber comes apart and doesn't need anything. Let's leave that to soak for a minute. Probably doesn't even need an ultrasonic clean. Probably get away with. Right, let's have a look at the float chamber next. So I can go up there. Right, float chamber. I couldn't tell you what jet that is. They normally, oh, they have got a band around there. It's a black band. Right, let's see if we can't get this apart. There's a tag to identify the carburetor is actually on the float chamber. There's one, complete with the tag. Doesn't look too bad. See, a lot worse than that. It'll definitely need a new needle valve though, it's seized in there. Unsurprisingly. Right, let's I think what we'll do, we'll clean all these bits up. That has, it's just fused up, isn't it? It'll clean up. It will clean up. I just think that's just corrosion from the air. And this chappie needs to come off here. I'll probably replace the jet. Meter needle though, looked alright. In here there should be an O-ring and a washer. I'm going to go and put the kettle on. There we go. There's your O-ring. Well, most of the O-ring. The rest of it is in the bottom there. So yeah, we need to replace O-rings and so forth. Right, I'm going to put the kettle on. That's one carb stripped down, and think the car body itself is probably going to get away with it. It's just going to end up being a gasket, a needle valve, and a jet, I reckon. I think the throttle butterfly is going to survive this. How much movement we got on it? None. No play. Might not even need to come apart. Might not. We'll see. Carbs are rebuilt now using a service kit provided by Berlin, berlin.co.uk. They've actually got an SU branch to their business, and I use this kit here. So it's Charlie Sierra Kilo 59 service kit, replaces CSK34. GRN number 403983. It's the right service kit for these particular chappies. Now, I've not gone berserk cleaning them because they're just going to stand out like a dick in a bucket. So I've cleaned them up, got them working, got them so that the dashpots open and close, set the float chambers, put new jets on the underside, and baselined them. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do for the time being. I did take the heat shield off, and I've just rattle canned it with a bit of heat treated matte black. Just looks tidier than rust, I'm sure you'll agree. Springs arrived. Boing. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. Now I'm just going to reassemble these carbs and all of the linkages and so forth, springs and etc, etc, etc. Get everything back together. It's a job done then, isn't it? Right, we're playing around with the MG. So this side, I think it's just all overspray. There's overspray quite a lot of around the various components at the top end of the engine bay. There's a nice little bit of crust over there. Weird underseal on this stuff. It's like proper old school bitumen type stuff. And when you look underneath, you can see it on the edges of the sills. It's all quite solid. Apart from that, that's the only bit of rust I've found on it. I'm not going to dig too deep, I'll be honest. Now, this side, you can see that the bushes are starting to split and tear on this. And the reason why I've ripped this side apart, because this side looks like this now, is primarily because the bushes were absolutely shagged out. Now let's just, because this is my left-hand front box, I had a bastard of a job getting this thing apart. That was not going to come out. That was rusted in solid. Now, look at the swivel pin. So the bush that goes around the top fulcrum, I think it's possibly seen better days. And the bush at the bottom end as well is not great. And then on top of all of that, the bottom link bushes, so that one's actually stuck on the bottom link. Now this bottom link actually looks bent. I'm just going to double check it. It might just be an optical illusion, purely because of kind of like worn components, worn bushes, bits sitting at odd angles. So I'll run a straight edge along it and see if it is indeed straight or not. And then, well, I'm going to order up a ton of bits and see if we can't get this refurbished. So, yeah, there's overspray on the top of this damper as well. Look at that. So we're talking bollocks about overspray, Richard, aren't we? It has taken forever to get this all apart. Mainly because just everything in there was just stuck solid. The bearings inside the hub are okay, they all came apart. Yeah. And then I've been trying to clean things up as I've been going along. I put in a monumental parts order. I want this thing back on 4 wheels. So this caliper looks newer than the one on the other side. But bearing in mind this car was last taxed 2001, I'm inclined to change all of the brakes. Discs look reasonable, just surface rust on them. So I think we can get away with that. Anti-roll bar, I started to take it off, you see, because I couldn't get to that bolt because the disc was still on. Yeah. Okay, so what I really want to do is to pull the Kingpin apart and check it out for wear. When it was on the car and I was pulling it backwards and forwards, I could feel something clicking, but then there are that many shagged out bushes on it that it makes sense really just to double check the mechanical components, re-bush it with new bushing and put it back together again. I think that makes sense, doesn't it?